I wanna make you feel sad until you're on high, kissing you while your face in mine. Sliding my hands in your hand, keeping my hands on the sexy waist. And I am enjoying the sexy slow pace. Whether I go east or west, you are the best and the beautifulness. That's the joy, soulful taste. Now don't be misplaced. Getting you on the field of the day. I wanna make you spin. Your lips on the first and only chocolate. I am never going to taste. Kissing, kissing, kissing.
That's right. KISS. Kissing. Love. Happy Mother's Day to everybody out there. I know Mother's Day was yesterday, but I thank you for being here. I was having some technical problems, and goofy me, I forgot to unmute my mute button inside the studio, the YouTube Google Hangout. So silly me on that part, but I'm glad everybody's here. Very glad to have you all here for the broadcast. This is a very important broadcast. Let me give a little shout out to, we got Mickey out there, D Waller, we got Queen, I Know I Am. We got a lot of people who have come into the chat room. I appreciate you being here. Everybody that's in the chat room, I appreciate it. And thank you for dealing with the technical problems. What I want to say to you all, and let me give you all a clap, a much respectful clap that you all deserve. You all deserve that for coming over and supporting me. I see a lot of people in the chat room that I enjoy going over to their channels. There's a lot of people. So sometimes when you don't see me on your channel from time to time, I'm trying to make my rounds to everyone's channels as much as I can. And, you know, like a lot of us, this is not something that we do or I do full time. I work and you have the other life issues that come about. But I try my best to get to everyone's channels. I'm going to keep striving to do that because I think it's important to support people that support you. And so I just want to say to everybody, peace. You know, I always use that word peace. And I think that's what we need in this world is some peace. And as you can see on the title of the broadcast for today, as you can see, the title is Racism is a Main Driver of Black Homelessness in Los Angeles, California. Now, I have a brother by the name of Aaron Collins that I did a pre-produced interview with. And we talk about this in a very intelligent manner. He actually lives in Los Angeles, California. He's had personal experiences with homelessness himself. And it cannot be denied that it is a problem in this country. It does affect all groups of people. But there is something going on in Los Angeles in particular. They're talking about creating recommendations and initiatives to fix the problem. But from talking to that brother, it does not seem like it's something that's happening as quickly as needed. Now, you know, they have a big skid row. Now, real Aaron Collins is in the chat room right now. I need everybody to follow that brother, give him support. Everybody in the chat room, follow each other. I know some people say don't use check marks, don't use too many emojis. Sometimes folks like to use the crown or the little green apple. Whatever you want to do to let people know that you're following them in terms of using that, you know what, that SUB word, just let people know and support each other, help each other out. I got to be honest with folks. I've been YouTubing for a while, and just keep in mind, don't allow yourself to become too, not accusing anyone, but don't allow yourself to become so overly paranoid with YouTube and its rules, because I know, for example, the music that you just heard won't be a copyright on that music at all. But I know sometimes they have on the creative studio, they let you know when you get close to getting too many strikes, and they will send you a notice letting you know that there's a copyright on some music, and then they will tell you that it doesn't mean it's a strike against your channel, but in some cases you're using material that's copyrighted. So you don't want to get too many of those kind of notices that can lead to an actual strike on your channel. And then sometimes you might make a video that includes other material that you didn't know was copyrighted, or maybe you did, and they will tell you that, well, let's say your channel is moderated. So now someone else who owns the rights to that material, they will get some of your advertising dollars, or your AdSense will be shared with them. So that happens. That's a reality in YouTube life that we just have to deal with. So I thank everybody for being here and supporting the program. And let me move on with the presentation. Like I said, Real Aaron Collins is in the chat room. We had a good discussion about this issue. The brother lives in Los Angeles. He's in the film industry, behind the scenes, and trying to make it like everybody to do the thing. So let me go ahead. And this is a very important presentation, everybody out there. Very important. Very.
Information is power.
Los Angeles, California, a city of dreams, a city of indulgence, a city of immense luxuries. Year after year, flocks of tourists come to this revered metropolis to take in all the sights. They want to walk on the sandy beaches. They want to see movie stars. They want to look at palm trees and experience winding mountains, thinking this is what LA is all about. The truth of the matter is, the same holds true. But that's not all. There is another side to Los Angeles. LA has a vast homeless population. According to the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, the population jumped 12% in the last 2 years, both in the city and the county. A large portion of LA homeless are centralized in Skid Row, a 50 square block area of downtown to the east. It is here that you can see broken humanity in its rawest form. Remnants of life's failures, drug addicted, and otherwise abound here. A trek to this place is like stepping into hell. If you're not careful, you could easily get overwhelmed by the madness. Blatant examples of man's inhumanity to man exist in this place. However, one must also realize that amidst the chaos and shame, that there are human beings that once upon a time were someone's cute bundle of joy. How did they become the person they are today? How did they end up here? No one knows, but one thing is certain. They are a breathing, living soul that yearns to be loved.
Information is power.
In closing, let's learn to realize that there's another side to the City of Angels. Let's make a difference together. I'm not only an advocate of Skid Row, I'm also a resident.
Information is power.
Okay, I'm talking to the real Aaron Collins here. And Brother Aaron Collins, you live in the Los Angeles area. I dug up an article that goes like this. First of its kind. We did a study recently in Los Angeles identifying institutionalized racism as a main driver of Black homelessness, given comprehensive policy recommendations. So this is an article that is also not only talking about the problems, but it's going to give recommendations as to how to deal with these problems, brother. There's an organization, there's a report based on the Lindsay, I think it's the LAHSA report, shows how structural racism, discrimination, and unconscious bias in housing, employment, criminal justice, child welfare policies have led to overrepresentation of Black people experiencing homelessness in the Los Angeles area. We've been hearing about this. You don't hear politicians talking much about this, Black or white, otherwise, about particularly homelessness amongst Black people in the Los Angeles area. We have heard that there is quite an increase in Black men becoming homeless. And I think we talked earlier before, and we had to re-record this because the audio didn't come out too well the last time, but I had mentioned to you that Black people make up 9% of the population of LA County, but more than 1/3 of its population experiencing homelessness, an overrepresentation that is consistent with demographically across other jurisdictions in the United States of America. Brother Aaron, you have some experience in these areas. You're in LA, brother. What are your thoughts about what I said? And you're on the ground, brother. Tell me what's going on down there.
Yeah. What's up, everyone? So yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense and sounds very accurate to what you said, the article, because a lot of times Blacks are redlined from housing as far as getting viable places to live. And yeah, racism, like you said, does play a major role because a lot of the areas, historically Black areas of LA, are even being gentrified. And Los Angeles in particular, I mean, California statewide, but LA County in particular is predominantly Hispanic. I will say maybe whites are probably the only other group that's more than Hispanics, but a lot of historically Black areas have been actually taken over by Hispanics. About, I would say maybe about 50% of South Central, maybe 48% of South Central is Hispanic now, whereas it used to be 100% African American. Is now about 52, maybe 53% Black, and Latinos are catching up rapidly. Many Blacks have moved out the surrounding areas, such as the Antelope Valley or the Inland Empire. And the Antelope Valley, that would be like Lancaster, Palmdale,
yes.
Areas like that. It's still LA County, but a lot of Blacks have moved out there.
Now we know that we know that gentrification is a reality. I looked over an article about how Washington, D.C. is the leading city in our country that is leading overwhelmingly in Black people being displaced through gentrification. You've got Los Angeles in that picture. Of course, I said DC, Philadelphia. You've got Austin, Texas. You got a variety of places that are being hit hard. I told you before, Oakland has taken a dip. The last I checked, at 25%. It could be going further down the pipeline with gentrification. You had the whole barbecue Becky situation in Oakland. You have people who move into these neighborhoods. They don't have a respect for the existing population, and they treat them very poorly. In the case in Washington, D.C., you had Howard University, where you have white people that are letting their dogs crap and boo-boo all over the yards that are used for ceremonies and fraternity and student activities on their green, grassy areas, not for dog park activity. And you had some white fella who had the audacity to say that maybe Howard University needs to move when Howard has been there and has been an institution, a part of Washington, D.C. And then I mentioned to you too, brother, that in San Francisco, where I lived in San Francisco in the Bay Area over 30 years, I lived in Oakland for about 10. San Francisco, as it relates to the Black population, Black people are becoming basically invisible in San Francisco. And as you may know or may not know, a lot of Black people are moving further away from San Francisco into what we call the East Bay. They're moving into Oakland. But now they're being pushed out of even places like Oakland, and they're moving further and further out. It's always been known that a lot of Black people would leave Oakland and move into what we call Antioch, Pittsburgh area, which has a lot of toxins out there. You have a lot of black women in Richmond, California coming down with cancers, and in the Pittsburgh, Antioch area, which used to be military ground. And I had a barber who said never buy a house out there because they have a lot of radiation from Port Chicago. Remember, Port Chicago had black soldiers that they made move ammunition or missiles, and those missiles exploded, which you could hear all the way to San Francisco back in the day when it exploded, which left radiation, and black men died. So black people are being displaced. Even where I live at, people are being pushed further and further and further. And then on top of that, we're also being impacted by housing and in terms of homelessness. Brother, I said a nutshell, but what are your thoughts?
This is all by design, and I have heard of the Antioch, Pittsburgh area. I didn't know that was what was going on, but it makes sense. And the purpose of this is, yeah, they are trying to literally wipe us out off the face of the earth. This is all by design. I mean, even think about it. Even New Orleans, Louisiana, which is another historically black city, the lower Ninth Ward was hit by Hurricane Katrina, and majority of New Orleans residents lived in the Ninth Ward. I've actually helped rescue people after Katrina and saw the devastation firsthand myself. Mm-hmm. And bottom line is basically, it's like they're doing here. It's nationwide, actually. It's a land grab. It's basically eminent domain, and what they're doing, they're eyeing the land, because bottom line is that New Orleans has some desirable areas. And basically, it's like beachfront property. And a lot of celebrities have even looked at New Orleans. As a matter of fact, even Trump himself has even eyed some areas of New Orleans as well. And like I said before, this is all by design. My hometown, Chicago, has even got some gentrification going on there. I keep in touch with my folks that are there. And Harlem, New York. I mean, this is not no coincidence. This is by design. It's a coordinated effort. They are literally trying to blight us out and wipe us out, even if it means, if it means even taking some of their own, they will do anything they can to definitely literally wipe us off the face of the earth.
Okay, I got a question for you, brother, and I made mention of this to you before. You know, some would say, and I'm of this opinion, that this could not happen to us, could not happen to black people, could not happen to us as a people if we really had true ownership in our communities, meaning owning the houses, owning the land, owning the soil which we lay our feet into. Because the only way you can be displaced from a community in this manner is if you're a renter and you do not own the community that you live in. I've been saying this, that black people, unfortunately, in American society, we talk about communities and neighborhoods, but I think we don't really have a community anymore, because we have neighborhoods that we occupy, that we will say, hey, I'm from here, I'm from there, but we don't even own it.
The truth.
And then people can move us out.
It makes a lot of sense. You know, if you break down the word community, you have what? Common unity.
Yes.
And the thing is what's bad about it is that we're not unified. We're not on code. We have no kind of loyalty at all. And they, you know what? They feed off of that. And this is what makes it so easy for them. And as far as what you were saying about owning the land, that's actually key what you said, because land is actually, the land is the common denominator. Mm-hmm. It's something about land. And I'm going to go as far as to say that one person who actually got that concept was none other than the late, great Nipsey Hussle. I mentioned him for a reason, because Nipsey understood that owning land meant true ownership. That's why a lot of people don't know this. Well, people probably do know it now, but he not only owned the Marathon store, but he owned the entire plaza where the store was. He owned that entire strip. Even though it was a strip, it was still land, and he owned it. And his vision was practically to pretty much get all the blocks in that Crenshaw area. So he understood the concept of what owning land is, and I'm saying all that to say this: that land ownership is important. And like you said, we could say we could claim all these neighborhoods, we could say we from this and from that, but that's all it is from it. That's really all it is. You're just from it, but you don't own it.
Exactly. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about too, and you're 100% on the money. In San Francisco, Northern California, you're in Southern California, there is a community called Bayview Hunters Point. A lot of us would call it HP. And there, that's black people live in that part of San Francisco because you had, like many black people have gotten in different areas, it was the military. You had the Navy that was there, and you had black men that were part of Navy, which is why you got black folks in Vallejo. And like I said, you have in Pittsburgh, Antioch area, and many black people in San Francisco got there because of originally the military. Now, the Fillmore area of San Francisco, where I lived as well, was originally a Japanese community. And when Japanese were put in internment camps, black people came into those areas. And originally, let me give you some history, brother. People don't realize this, but when you go to San Francisco and you see the Chinatown, a lot of people don't know that Chinatown was the original black community in San Francisco before the Chinese got there. And they took over that area that pushed black people out. See, people don't know this history in San Francisco, that was actually a black community at some point in time before the Chinese were able to get complete control of that particular area of San Francisco. And
yeah, I think San Francisco has like the largest Chinese population outside of China too.
Exactly, and then you've got Seattle with the largest Japanese population. So this is the problem. You know, we followed the Booker T. Washington philosophy. You make a very good point. Malcolm, I gotta say that you make a very good point. You said that not just owning, you said simply not just owning. Let me read what Malcolm said. She made a statement. If I could find that statement, but I think I know what your statement is. You're saying that it doesn't matter if people own their own homes or businesses because they can simply raise the property values up and the interest rates. That's true. But I still think that is important. It's still important that we own where we live. It's a hell of a lot easier to move people out when you don't have any ownership in the soil where you live. So having your own business, owning your own home, of course, they're going to raise property values, but at least we know that we've been taught that most of Americans' wealth is tied into their home. Home ownership is a big deal, which is why a lot of people got wiped out during 2008-9 when they had that great recession where people were losing their homes. But that was because Wall Street, being the crooks that they were bundling the loans. They're gambling your money. There's people who brought more home than they really could afford. There's people who were doing just fine and they got hit with those interest rates. And then you had predatory banks like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, that affected people. I know when I had my home, when I was married, I had a home. I had neighbors that lived around me that were losing their property because they could not afford their mortgages. And it made the value of my home go down. And boy, did I cry to my knees when I got my assessment in the mail to see what the value of the home and how far it had went down, which can put you in a system of what they call upside down. The home, you're paying more than what the home is really worth. And eventually that will impact you. So you are right about that, but it still doesn't change the fact that when you own something and you have ownership in your community and you have a stake in it financially and economically, it's a hell of a lot harder to get you out compared to if you didn't own anything. For example, the community that I was talking about, you got Bayview, Hunter Point, you got Trail Hill in San Francisco, Fillmore. Those black people are people who refused to sell their home. They had more power over these contractors and who had these grandiose ideas. So when you look at the baseball park, the Giants baseball park, they have a light rail system that runs from that ballpark into that community Hunters Point because they haven't a goal. They want to gentrify. So Black people who don't own their property or have a stake in the community economically, it's easier to move them out versus those who do have. However, you make a good point, and San Francisco, as I'm saying, is becoming a ghost town when it comes to this issue. Let me move on with the rest of the presentation. I want to thank everybody for being here. Make sure you
are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
Education, talented 10. But then you had Booker T. Washington that was saying, own your own business, own your land. And I personally believe if we had followed the Booker T. Washington philosophy, that Black people would be in a better situation today economically, to the point where we would not be able to be pushed out of land. And when I brought up Hunters Point, because there are many older Black people who owned their homes, and you had prospectors going into Hunters Point, knocking on doors, trying to buy the houses from older Black people, baby boomer Black people, and trying to undercut them with the value. So that's another trick that they'll do. They'll throw money at you and they'll undercut the value of your home. Now, that was an article that I was reading too that says that there's a racial practice going on as it relates to home ownership amongst Black people, meaning Black people who live in their homes, even if it's a nice neighborhood, their homes will be undervalued compared to other race of people, such as white people and other groups. So if you live in a Black neighborhood that's not the best neighborhood, your home's automatically going to be undervalued. But even if you live in a quote unquote nice neighborhood where Black people live, your homes are being undervalued. So we're being attacked on all fronts. We're being gentrified. Yeah. We've got a homeless problem that none of the damn politicians are talking about. And we're being devalued even when we have the money to afford homes. What are your thoughts on that? And I have another question for you too, before we end. What are the politicians saying in Los Angeles, such as a Maxine Waters, people who represent the Los Angeles area that are out there in Congress, out there in Washington, D.C.? Are you hearing anything from these politicians? I know the mayor, from what I understand, is involved in this initiative to deal with these issues. They want to hit it from a public policy issue, recognizing the racism that is involved in why Black people are going homeless in Los Angeles. What are your thoughts?
I haven't heard Maxine Waters say not one thing, to be honest with you. As a matter of fact, it begins to make me wonder, does she even care? I mean, I know what happened, was it last year, where what's that group? It was like a white supremacist group tried to come to Watts and set up shop, and the community got together and they were trying to set up shop in front of Maxine Waters' office. Now that's good. I'm glad the community got on code to do that. But if they really truly understood what Maxine Waters' agenda was, if she really cared for them or not, I haven't really heard her say or do anything. And I'm not bad mouthing her, but I really just don't think she gives a damn, to be honest with you. And as far as Eric Garcetti is concerned, he's the mayor. I've been hearing these initiatives for the last few years about what they're going to do, and I haven't really seen nothing yet. Matter of fact, I believe there was, I think a few years ago, I forget how much money that they put toward combating homelessness. It was in the millions. I really don't see where it's gone, to be honest with you, because as you stated, and I'm seeing it myself, it's more and more people being homeless. So I'm like, well, so where's this money that was supposed to be allocated toward combating homelessness gone?
Now they're talking about attacking this issue with 67 recommendations. They want to implement recommendations which include intertwining racial equality, looking at it with a tough lens throughout the homeless policies and issues in Los Angeles, and how they go about the service delivery system. So they want to come up with a service delivery system to deal with homeless from a racial point of view, to get rid of the biases that have been impacting Black people in Los Angeles. Let me read something else that's part of their recommendations. They're talking about inclusion of Black people that live and experience homelessness in all aspects of the program, policies, design to implementation of evaluations and services delivery, and it critical to ensure that programs are serving effectively and meeting the needs of those they are intended to serve, right? Then they're talking about care and empathy are crucial components of outreach and case management services and of policies, programs designed to help those that are homeless in Los Angeles, particularly targeting Black people. These components must be embodied within agency leadership. So what you can see is that this report that I'm looking at is just talking about dealing with this from a bureaucracy point of view. See, bureaucracy is the worst thing because now they're talking about all these political notions of how they're going to fix the problem. And that is the problem. There tends to be too much talk. There's all this talk and political posture, but not enough action.
That's exactly what I was thinking. It's about a bunch of posturing, a bunch of kiss the babies type of business. Basically, they're trying to show out in front of the camera, say, see, look at what we're doing. Like you said, that's exactly what it is. It's posturing. It's pretending to do something. Basically, it's doing some window candy kind of stuff. That's what it is to me.
And so they're talking about, let me just hit you up with this. They're talking about disproportionate number of African Americans are caught in the gap of homelessness in Los Angeles, and they have to be more intentional about how to confront and end this crisis in the Los Angeles. And the mayor, the Los Angeles mayor, Eric Kingati, as you were saying his name, I'm saying it right. Garcetti. He says this report puts the spotlight where it needs to be and help us focus effective efforts on individual families and communities that need the most help. See, this is political guy. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now this is we're getting ready to come into a political year, and I guarantee you're going to have Kamala Harris, you're going to have the Bernie Sanders, and you're going to have the Joe Biden who has a terrible history as it relates to Black people. Power. If you really look at his history, you're going to have all these people that are going to gravitate to these issues so they can get their butts in office. But this has been going on. No one's been dealing with this. Now, if you don't mind me saying to you, brother, you just sent me a video. You were in a movie that you wrote or script that you've been working on. If I'm not mistaken, you've had some experience with this homeless issue, brother. Would you like to elaborate? Whatever you feel comfortable elaborating on, brother. Whatever you feel comfortable with or what you don't feel comfortable with. All respect to you, brother. But go right ahead if you'd like to say.
Yeah. So that particular film is called 6 and 12. I didn't write it. I actually had a role in it, but it was actually based on something that I did. The director actually saw something that I did. It's a 2-minute documentary that I actually did write and edited and narrated myself. And it was about and what I call it, this documentary, I call it. It was like a play on the word. You know, the movie or the book called A Tale of Two Cities.
Yes.
Well, I called it Los Angeles, Two Tales of One City, and basically it was based on what you asked about the movie. So yeah, so I was I talked to the directors. It was part of what was known as the 48-hour film project, which is an annual contest, and they were actually working on a script of what to write about. And when I showed that to them, I was actually looking for a team to be on. So the directors, they were actually was actually looking for someone to play the role that I played, but then they couldn't find anyone who they thought would be believable. So they actually asked me to do it, and I would have been just content just being a crew member on the show as a PA. And for those of you who don't know, a PA, that's a production assistant. Mm-hmm. But they actually asked me to be in it, and I'm like, oh wow, okay. That took me by surprise because I'm not necessarily wanting to act, but they asked me to do it. I did it. I got a lot of rave reviews on it. They said when I did it, I brought a believableness to it because I actually experienced homelessness here in LA, and LA is not the only place I experienced homelessness. I've experienced it in Dallas when I lived there too. So I felt really good about it. Like I said, it was based on a 2-minute project that I did some years before that one about, once again, homelessness in Los Angeles. And I did it from the perspective of meaning of two tales of one city, meaning it's two different types of LAs. There's the tourist attraction, you know, people come from all over to see Hollywood, the palm trees, the beach, all that other stuff. But then there's also the other side, which is what we're talking about, the dark side of homelessness. And I did it without necessarily putting down what the other people say. I'm like, well, all that is true and all, but there's also another side of LA of people, basically the invisible people that you see, which are the homeless people. And because, you know, here in LA is the only place that I can think of that has a skid row. And it's also the only place where you can actually see a little juxtaposition of the two different lifestyles. When I say that, I'm talking about literally side by side, butting up against each other. Yeah. You got the Hollywood, the rich and famous, right next to the homeless, the down and out, and they're literally right on top of each other. I've seen it before. Homeless people setting up pallets literally on top of the stars and stuff on Hollywood Boulevard. Yes. And I think to myself, wow, this is a complete combination of two different lifestyles.
Most definitely, brother. It is a combination of two different lifestyles merging together in this way. Okay, Lions Den, you came on board. Mute yourself right now, brother. I'm waiting for mute yourself, Lions Den, please, because I have a reason. And I'm waiting for Real Aaron Collins. Real Aaron Collins, if you're out there, brother, I send you the link. So come on board. I got Lions Den here. As soon as the presentation is finished with the interview that I did with you originally, I want you to come onto the chat, onto the panel, and make sure that you do so, brother, by muting yourself. We got my man Lions Den here. We're going to have Lions Den give love to folks in the chat room, and we're going to talk to Lions Den about a few things. I'm glad that he came on board. Okay, Aaron, you're there. Make sure you mute yourself, brother. Everybody out there in the chat room, thank you for being here. I want to give everybody a clap because everybody deserves a clap because everybody in that chat room are great people.
Information is power.
So what we're going to do now is try to get back to the presentation, and then we're going to have my man, Real Aaron Collins, who's on live. I brought Lions Den. He lived in D.C., and D.C. is a place that's been hit hard with gentrification and all these various things. I'm going to bring him in as we move forward in the presentation today. I thank you for bearing with me. I had some problems with audio early on, but things ended up working out. And what we're going to do is get on back to the presentation.
Now, let's get back to the Information Man show.
California is the most expensive place to live, maybe outside of a place like New York. So the problem that's happening, too, that people need to take into account is that wages are stagnant. People are not getting wage increases to balance out the increase in price of living. Everything's going up higher, and we're in California, and under the Donald Trump administration, who he runs around touting how he's a big businessman, even though he's in debt of $1 billion that he's lost himself. He touts how he's improved unemployment around as it relates to black men, black people. Yet we got a homeless issue amongst black men in particular, in general. And we live in a state that's most expensive to live. Wages are stagnant. They're not equaling out. People are not getting wages, and gasoline's going up to close to $5 here in California very soon, if it's not already there in some places within the state. Milk, eggs, all the daily things are going up. Rent, everything is going up. Gas, as I said before. And so I told you this before. I'm wondering, with all the things that are impacting black people in this society, can black people afford to be American? And what I mean by that, can we afford to live in the places that we live anymore? And I told you before that Black people have had a history currently of leaving the North to go back to the South, when there was a big exodus of Black people leaving the South to go north for what reasons? Jobs. And now that jobs are drying up in certain parts of the country, where Black people live in these urban environments, I believe it's probably going to drive Black people to move further out, to the point that you have to leave California in particular. And Black people are being impacted by this, and I don't see anybody talking about it. We spend too much time, particularly on YouTube and other social medias, talking about things that really don't matter in the bigger picture of Black people for us collectively. These are the issues that are affecting us. Nobody's talking about Black male homelessness, which is rising up very high, not to mention that there is an increase in Black men as it relates to suicide. Oh yes. And I just did a podcast about this that I haven't released yet. There is an increase in rise of Black men suffering from mental health issues, and depression being one of them, for a variety of reasons. And Black men, we're dying silently. You just saw John Singleton pass away of a stroke. All right, we got issues, and those issues are, we got to protect our health, our mind, our spirit, our bodies, everything. And that's why I wanted to bring you on here to talk about this issue. While they're sitting up here talking about how they want to improve the issues in LA with this, they're talking about improving data collection, analyzing, collaborating, research to do better, to have better understanding and track issues affecting Black people experiencing homelessness. Okay, I get what they're doing. They got to collect data. They got to analyze it. They got to assess it. What I don't like about this is that, wait a minute, you already know that there's a homeless problem in LA. You already know that Black people out there are going homeless in LA. What the hell is there to study? What the hell is there to collect? You know where the homeless are. You have a Skid Row in Los Angeles. You know where they are.
I agree, and they're really trying, and they're doing a lot of building up in downtown. They're really trying to push Skid Row further to the east. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking about east as far as like eastern, like toward areas such as Gardena or Compton, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You see that. And basically, this is my idea. I would love to take people, and I said this several times before, but I would love to take people on a field trip to Skid Row. And when I say a field trip, my idea of a field trip is not, we're not going to be sitting in the car with the AC blowing and listening to music with the windows rolled up. Oh no, my idea of a field trip is we're going to get out and we're going to walk the blocks and see exactly, I want to show people exactly what it is I used to see. We're going to sit up there and breathe the same air. I want to show people exactly what it is I experienced it. And I wanted to give them the true Skid Row deal, what it's really like. And I think something like that would be a good idea as like an alternative to a Scared Straight program. Mm-hmm. Because and that goes for you these little rebellious kids. Okay, so you want to talk back to your mom, you want to talk back to your parents and give them a hard time. Okay, I'll say we should round their little asses up. Pardon the language, but I really want to get this through to people and let them walk around through the blocks of Skid Row. I'm talking about bringing them down San Pedro and San Julian, 5th Street, 6th Street, 7th Street. I mean, there's literally 50 square blocks of Skid Row.
Information
so you got plenty to see. Yeah. Lots of 10 cities, and I don't mean that from the perspective of looking at people like they're in the zoo. I don't mean it like that. But I want to show people what reality truly is all about. Yeah. I mean, I call it the real reality, and this is a reality that people choose not to see. Yeah. And I want to literally, I mean, I'm not trying to say shove it down their throat, but you know what? That might be what we just need to do.
Okay. Brother Aaron, as I conclude, brother, I want to say I appreciate you coming on to the podcast. I will be calling on you from time to time to talk about other subject matters that will come down the pipeline. But let me just say to you right now, let everybody know, I know you have a YouTube channel. let everybody know where they can find you, your name of your YouTube channel, and what you're trying to do with your channel. Go right ahead, brother.
Yeah. So I'm the real Aaron Collins. Just go on YouTube. The real Aaron Collins is basically as it sounds. And I talk about social issues. I talk about, I try to encourage people. I talk about other things too. A lot of you know that I'm in the entertainment industry, so I try to talk about stuff involving that. I do movie reviews as well. I feel like I could improve on that, but anyway, but yeah, I like to talk about just different issues. I try to research and know what I'm talking about. And bottom line, I'm just me, the real Aaron Collins, like I said, and yeah, just get to know me.
Okay. Well, everybody, that was the real Aaron Collins on the podcast. And brother, you did a great job. This is a very sensitive issue. I'm going to keep my eyes out for further what's going on. I probably will be bringing you back sometime soon because I do want to talk about a variety of other things that are going on. And you made very good points. This is an issue. I think it's important to use platforms to get this kind of information out because, like I said, what is the sense of having these social platforms if you're not trying to transform and make changes and give information that can help people and inform people and enlighten people? Then wasting your time on these platforms, just talking a bunch of yakety yak and not saying nothing. So
that makes sense.
Thank you, brother. Wherever you are, brother, just have a great evening, morning, day, wherever you are. I appreciate you being here, brother Aaron. We'll be back together doing this again, brother. So take care. Take care of yourself.
Man, appreciate it. Appreciate everyone for listening.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel. Tell the truth. Now, let's get back to the Information Man show.
Okay, everybody, thank you. That was an interview that I did with the real Aaron Collins earlier, part of my podcast. See, this is what's going on. Let me let everybody know. I actually have a podcasting network or channel that I'm revamping, and a lot of my material like that, I'm trying to figure out, should I put it on the YouTube or should I just keep it on my Spreaker podcast, or should I sometimes pick one and put it on YouTube? So this was one that I was going to put on the podcast there, but I decided, let me put it on YouTube and there'll be stuff on there. I will make a video announcement to everybody when I want you to, when I upload all new material, because what I did to my podcast, if you ever click into it on my on the page, on the YouTube page, is I started deleting old material that I think was outdated and some materials that I don't think came out right in terms of the sound quality. So I'm hard at work at producing new material that will have good sound quality, studio type sound quality. And that's going to be ported over to, and when I complete a certain number of those podcasts, I'm going to make a big announcement for people to go over and check it out. And it will be material that is different from what's on the YouTube channel. Now, be on the lookout. Let me let's give a moment of silence for the great Lena Horne, who passed away at 92 years old. And she was a pioneer. She fought against racial barriers. She's something. The woman was fantastic. We know her best by the Stormy Weather song that she sung, made famous. But she passed away, and I plan on doing a podcast on that. And the question is, should I put that on YouTube, or should I just keep it on the podcast, or should I do both? I think I may be doing both. But she passed away, so I want to do something in honor of her. And then there's another story that I'm gonna podcast Once again, I got to decide which way I want to go with that. There's a situation going on in North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, that it's terrible. It's another case of continued police brutality and how police choose and pick who they desire to shoot based on race when both individuals have a gun on them. And Charlotte, North Carolina is an open carry state. So there's something going on down there that they're not talking about on major news that I just got my wind to, and I'm going to talk about that. So now let me go ahead and do this. Let me just say to everybody in the chat room, thank you for being here. Thank you for your support, and make sure you all check check all of the channels out. You know, if you want to put one emoji, a crown, I don't a check mark. I don't personally get all spooked out about. I've been through a lot of stuff with YouTube, right? I know how YouTube works and how its algorithms work, and I always wondered if YouTube doesn't want us using emojis, then why in the hell would they make it feasible for us to have access to emojis? If they didn't want us to use emojis, they would just get rid of the emojis that they give us access to. It's just a thought. It makes, because like I said, sometimes when you're on YouTube, you can overthink YouTube and you can make yourself paranoid. Okay. And you want to pace yourself. Of course, you don't want to do anything that breaks the rules of YouTube. And if YouTube doesn't like us using certain emojis, I get it. But to the life of me, I don't understand. If they don't want us using certain things, then why do they even offer it unless they're trying to set us up for the fall? Who knows what's going on? Maybe they don't want everybody being monetized. Maybe they don't want everybody's channels growing, because you know what comes with that. So let me move on. That's my soapbox right there. Let me move on here and introduce my man Lion's Den. How are you doing, brother? If you can unmute yourself, Lion's Den. How are you doing, brother? Okay, I'm going to move on because we got to keep the show moving on. I don't know what's happened in the Lion's Den. I've called him and he's not there, but hopefully he'll be on. Let's go to BB Silks. How you doing, sister? Unmute yourself.
Hello, Information Man. How are you? Great Monday to you.
Doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. Thank you for the invite. I wasn't actually sure what it was, and then I looked. I said, "Oh, this is from Information Man. Let me go in here," because I was sitting down in the chat. Yeah. So thank you very much for inviting me on.
Oh, no problem at all. What I really was trying to do, I was trying to get some of the usual suspects from LNP's show. I sent LNP a link too. And I thought maybe I wanted to, me and Aaron Collins spend some time talking about the issues of homelessness as it relates to Los Angeles. He's had personal experiences with that. And currently there was an article that came out where they're trying to attack the issue. And they're saying that racism, particularly in Los Angeles, and poor public policies that are racially biased are one of the reasons why you're seeing homelessness in Los Angeles. And particularly, there's a high number of Black males becoming homeless. And we all know some of us are 1 or 2 paychecks away from being homeless ourselves, even if you have a decent job, because you know how expensive it is. Living, food is getting more expensive, the cost of living, gas. And as I said before, wages are stagnant. They're not, your wages at work are not equaling what's happening in society. And even if you are a business owner, you've got your own your own set of stressors. So that's why. So, and I know that you talk about issues of employment, issues around work-related issues. And in this article I looked at, it does talk about that. And they're saying that they want to attack it by changing the policies. But me and Aaron were saying the other day that a lot of times politicians, they do a lot of political posturing and voting and voting around thoughts and a lot of rhetoric. And I said to him, hey, they know what the problem is in Los Angeles. They got a huge, skid row that goes blocks and blocks. They know what the problem is. What is there to study? So how are you doing? I'm glad you're here.
Okay, and it's not just on Skid Row. It's reached out to many places. It has reached out to the beaches. You got 10 cities at the beaches, which our beaches is a lot of tourist population. So a lot of people don't like that because for some reason a lot of people be uncomfortable with homeless people, especially if there's a lot of group of homeless people because they have gathered there on the beaches. And I'm talking about some of our more expensive beaches like in the Ventura County area or Santa Barbara area, the beaches that's surrounding there, the beaches down in Orange County, Newport Beach, Huntington Beach. Those are some of our more exclusive beaches out here in Southern California. And the homeless population is really growing very, very in depth there. Also in Orange County, their political bodies there was having a big discussion because Orange County is increasingly growing in their homeless population. And that's the crossover county from Los Angeles going south. So in the Southern California area, and I know I saw this article one time in up going north, the homeless population in California is severe. And it's really getting out of hand where they have no control of it, or they want to change it around and make money off of it by cheaping out the property to get some of this homelessness taken care of. In Los Angeles County, they just hired a department professional to cover the homelessness initiative. So it is sad and it's growing, and you can see it. That's the thing about it. And some of the shelters are closing. So that's unfortunate too. And a lot of these people are families, information man. I almost said Life Machine Power, but that's who I thought I was going to when I looked, but then I saw that this was Information Man show. But Information Man, you can see, it's a sad situation, especially here in California, which is one of our most expensive states and a very rich state. So we shouldn't be having a severe homeless situation like this. But as you say, it's a big disparity in the increases of the wages in terms of what you have to pay for shelter.
Well, BB Silks, I'm glad that you're here. Let me see, because I want to go to Aaron Collins last because he's our special guest.
Okay.
Let me, Lion's Den, are you there, brother? Lion's Den. Unmute yourself if you're there. I don't know why the brother is not responding. I hope nothing has happened to him. But Lion's Den, are you there? I'm going to say once, going twice. I don't understand. All right. Let's go over we got the man of the hour. We've got my man, Real Aaron Collins. Real Aaron Collins is the brother who I interviewed as it related to the issues around homelessness in Los Angeles counties. And let me go ahead and give that brother a much respected clap. Okay, Aaron, how you doing, brother?
What's happening, family? God bless you. I'm doing well. I just wanted to say, actually, Lions Den was trying to respond to you. I saw the mute logo on his avatar go off. I believe he was trying to respond, but yeah, I'm doing pretty well, brothers.
I'm going to say this real quick, though, Aaron. I'm sorry to cut you off. Lions Den, if you're listening out there, brother, just go ahead and come back onto the platform. I didn't know that you were muted. You might have muted yourself by mistake, but come on, because I want you to say a few words and give some love to folks. Go ahead, Real Aaron Collins. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, I'm saying just saying hello to the Silks in the chat, and I really appreciate this honor too, Info Man. I've always looked up to you as well. You basically do what your name is you provide the information, and this is a very serious issue. A few weeks ago, even CNN, which is the mainstream media, they even did a little article on Los Angeles saying it's like one of the richest cities in the world, but yet you have this basically, which is an eyesore of homelessness, literally all over the city. And like Silks just said, it is really extended beyond Skid Row. Skid Row is just the central spot, but in a lot of the beaches, I can remember some times when I was homeless. When I used to sleep on buses and trains, I used to ride the bus literally all night to Santa Monica, and Santa Monica is one of the, it's said to be like Hollywood's backyard, and you would see homeless people even there, literally walking up and down the street, shopping carts. Some of them literally on the beach. I know a guy who personally who used to be on the beach himself. So yeah, it's very serious. They've extended it even to places like Malibu, areas that were historically said to be enclaves and hangout spots of the rich and famous. They have company now, which is not so rich and not so famous, but it's there.
Well, Aaron, let me say something to you, brother. You've had personal experiences with homelessness, brother, and let me ask you something. I know this is I'm going to be candid with you, brother. How, no one can imagine what it's like to be homeless, to live out there in the streets and deal with some of the danger that can occur with because homeless people get attacked, they get picked on by people. They get they're marginalized, they're undervalued in our society, even though these were people, as you said in your video, these are people that were bundles of joy. These are people that were someone's brother, someone's sister, someone's father, uncle. And we have a society in America where we seem to throw people away. Give us what has been your experience?
So basically, when I was and yeah, you're right. When I was experiencing like I mentioned that I used to sometimes sleep on the buses and trains. You know, just doing that by itself, I put myself at great risk because, as you know, anything can happen when you're riding public transportation. And yeah, homeless people do get attacked. Some of them even get killed out there. And it's nothing funny at all. Some of the things I've seen will literally, as far as homelessness, will make your stomach turn. That's why I said what I said before about a field trip there. And you know what? When I say these things, I'm not necessarily trying to scare people, but I think it might take that. I think it might take literally scaring the hell out of folks in order for them to take this thing serious and realize what's really going on out there. And that's just what it is. This is nothing to play with. And the politicians and the elite, they seem to skate right by it. No one seems to really care. It's only when it affects their personal stake, their vested interest, then they want to get involved, but it's usually not in a good way. So yeah.
Okay, let me give a shout out real quick to Arthur Clark. We got Hash TV, we got Brother Adubian in there, we got the lady, the B lady. I gotta get B lady. Send me an email. I'm not getting your email. If you haven't, send me an email because I want to set up an interview to talk to you about the whole issue around the importance of bees to our ecosystem and how one can get set up raising their own bee coop. Or I'm probably not saying the right word, bee coop, but get into the business of raising bees because bees are very important to our ecosystem, everybody. And I'm telling you right now, when you don't see certain insects or certain bees or things of that nature flying around, that's dangerous for our environment. And I can tell you right now, I have not seen a bee flying so far this year. Since we're moving more, I cannot count. When I was a kid, I could see bees flying all over the place. So that's a problem. And that's another issue I'm going to talk about soon about the environment and how insects are becoming more extinct than even animals. They're and we need them as well, even though sometimes the bugs can be pesky. They can be a pest to us. So I guess Lions didn't come back on yet. So let me say this to you too, brother Aaron Collins. We talked about what is really going on now. This article that I read talked about all these initiatives, right? It talks about how they want to have 67 initiatives to attack the problem of homelessness in the Los Angeles area. Have you seen any tangible programs based
I am
on
so glad.
bureaucracy policies that are actually making a dent as of right now?
I'm so glad you mentioned that because I heard you mention that before, these 67 initiatives. I don't think I've even seen one initiative. I mean, I'm not saying they're not implementing them, but I just really don't see what's possibly being done. I mean, how is it they have 67 initiatives and I don't even think 6 initiatives have even passed by? I mean, there is one group that I've always supported in LA. Matter of fact, they also stand up for social justice. It's called LA CAN, which is Los Angeles Community Action Network. This is a good organization, and they come against things like, because I've been on a few maneuvers with them. We went to the LAPD headquarters and stuff. They fight against things such as LAPD spying, which is what they're trying to do is like they can put money into the LAPD to get more drones and stuff in the air to literally just spy on people, violate people's constitutional rights, but they can't seem to get people keys to homes. Which is amazing to me. So wow. I'm guessing that's one of their initiatives right there, but it's not going toward the homeless.
Okay. Wow, this is interesting.
Yeah, because I'm back in 2015, and this made national headlines. There was an incident where the LAPD killed a dude, a homeless guy. They went in his tent, pulled him out of his tent, and somehow it was a struggle. The homeless guy wound up getting shot and killed. Of course, they like to go to their favorite response. He reached for my weapon. I feared for my life. Yada yada yada. You've heard it all before.
Information is power.
Yeah, information is power. BB Silk, sister, do you have anything else you want to add to this subject matter, sister? Go right ahead. Go right ahead. Most definitely.
Well, it's really up to you, information man. But I know one thing by working in, I do work for Los Angeles County, a Department of Public Social Services. And I know the homeless population from that end, but we really don't get an exact count because a lot of people don't even come into our department. And that's where they pull some of the statistics from.
See, this is the thing. Let me and I'm setting up here I had this article. They're talking about they have a key summary insight report as to how they want to attack this issue. Now they're saying that, and as I said before, they're saying that racism, discrimination, and unconscious bias in our public systems and institutions have contributed to remain and intertwine with this whole issue of homelessness. And they're talking about how they want to get people who want to donate their time. They want to change public policies. They want to get more administrative measures to deal with these issues because it's hitting demographically across the jurisdiction of the United States. But in LA in particular, they're trying to attempt to see how they can decrease this situation by coming up with policies. And like I said before, they're talking about, charting, using statistics, doing surveys and all this kind of stuff, when we know that there's a problem in LA. So the question begs to say, why do we need all the bureaucracy when you know what's going on? And if you have gentrification, which is forcing Black people out of areas that they live, which is not making it affordable for them to be able to handle housing. And then on top of that, you have issues of drugs and alcohol use. They know the issues. I know it's a big problem. You can't clean it up in one day, but the first thing a person needs is they need shelter. You need food, clothing, shelter. You need economic stability. You need a job opportunity to be able to pick yourself up. They're even talking about in shelters. I was reading some material about how in some of these homeless shelters, you have discrimination and bias in the shelters. Can you believe that?
No, I can believe it. It's much going. It's both. Don't be a single woman going up into those shelters like that, because there's a liability that, I mean, there's a possibility you could have sexual assaults happening to you and things like that. It's really a serious problem. And sometimes people be surprised who the homeless population is, because our homeless population is not on drugs. There is a percentage of that, and some of them are have sound minds until they become homeless. But it's just a lot of people who lost their job or who cannot get a job, and the majority of those people are who? Information man. So you know there's some racist and there's some biases in these, and I think these public policies that they'll bring about, especially if we don't be there to speak for ourselves, our concerns are not going to be like that. And we're still going to have a high population of Black homeless men.
Right. I'm going to keep saying this because I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm saying it. Is it too expensive to be American? Meaning, for Black people, is it too expensive to even live in a country that we have sacrificed so much for? We fought in every war this country's ever had. We've laid down the line. We've been through a hell of a lot. Slavery, Jim Crow laws, the Reconstruction situation. Black people have laid down their lives just to be treated as equal. And the question is it becoming too expensive for us? And then across the board, is it just too expensive to be American? I know for a fact, a lot of people at my job and myself, I'm considering the option of either leaving California when I retire from work, and then even the most craziest option of maybe should I leave the country, because a lot of people are moving to places where they can make their retirement stretch. I know in places like Texas, which is becoming saturated, you don't have any state tax. Nevada, you don't have state tax. So people are thinking about this when they're preparing for retirement. Should they get the hell out of California? And can they even manage just living in America? As much as we say we want to be in America because of some of the perks that America does give you, even though it has a lot of ills too. Any thoughts about that? Aaron, you want to tackle that? BB Silks, you want to tackle that? Go right ahead.
Well, you know what? It's interesting you mentioned Texas, because I lived before I moved to California. After I left Chicago, I lived in Dallas for 15 years.
Yes.
And the cost of living there was actually pretty decent. It's fairly simple. And I came out here to definitely to pursue a career in the entertainment industry where it's more resources in that area. So I believe it really depends on what you're out here for. If people are out here to pursue something like that, I can see coming to California for that maybe. But as far as anything else, it probably would be better to live elsewhere because, as stated, the cost of living here is pretty exponential, and it's getting higher, and the homelessness is increasing. And that's the thing that amazes me is like, do you not see what's going on? It's like you say that these folks are an eyesore in your communities, and yet you continue to not provide resources, and you continue to want to raise the cost of living. So to me, it's like you're really shooting yourself in the foot.
Interesting. Let me, I'm going to go ahead and send AM1 a link, because AM1 is a brother that actually lives in Oakland, where I've lived at one point in time, and he can give us what's going on the ground there. So hopefully he'll come on board. I send
information, man.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for inviting me on. I'm gonna have to.
No problem.
drop off because I have my grandchildren to see about. They're getting out of school right about now.
Okay.
I just want to say, when you're saying that, is it America? Not for us. I had a friend. He was he passed away last year. He was a faculty member out here in the community college system, and he used to always say, when America's in a recession, Black folks are in a depression.
Is power.
So I believe that we are struggling more. But one thing about California, if you could survive here, other than New York, I think you could probably survive anywhere in the United States. The only thing about that, we just don't like the decrease in salaries. Even though the salaries are not proportionate to the cost of living here, it's still a higher salary than many other places. So I think that's what maintains here. What's happening more, something that we never did before, we're moving amongst more housings. We're taking on a certain way that the Hispanic people have done it when they living with each other, and now we're starting to move in with each other and doubling up more to help with some of that cost. So we'll see what happens. But I thank you for having me on here, and I appreciate this. Have a great day, and see, and you both have a blessed and peaceful day.
Okay, that's BB Silks. Let me go ahead and give her a much needed respect and clap here.
Alien for Man also want to add something.
Hang on. I'm giving her a clap, brother. We have to go right. Before you do that, let me take a small break just for a moment, and I'll be right with you. Hang on to what you're saying right there, Real Aaron Collins. Hang on to what you're saying.
All right, brother.
Okay, let me give a little love to the chat room. We got Queen, I Know I Am, Brother Duvian. We got Brother Cap. Thank you for being here. Cap, you're going to be next, brother. I'm going to be contacting you, and we're going to be doing a podcast. I might just do a podcast with both you and Aaron Collins, and then we'll figure it out from there. I'm just doing a different style here, a more radio type style, brother. But Cap, I see you out there. We got Dallas out there. We got the Queen. We got the Lady B, the B lady. Let me see. Oh, we got Old Reliable. Thank you for being here. We got Death Wish in the house. We got many people in the house. And sometimes I'm bad with making out names, but everybody in the chat room, thank you for being here. Now, once again, for everybody that's in the chat room that has channels, I'm doing my best to probably get over there and support your channels as well. So it's a hell of a lot of people that I follow now. So I'm trying to make my rounds as best I can to get to everyone's channels. But make sure that everyone in this channel, in this chat room and listening, give each other love. Check out each other's channels, and you know what to do. Follow each other. There's a lot of people in here that's doing great content, like Aaron Collins does on his channel. And I put in the description of this video, Brother Real Aaron Collins channel with his name. So you can go into the description of this video and click right into his channel and give him some love on his channel as well. This is very important because information is important. And one thing, if you are new here and you have not followed me yet, well, hell, give me a little love.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
All right. Very important.
Now, let's get back to the Information Man show.
All right, Brother Aaron, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
All right. Sorry about that. Just trying some different things here. I'm actually running. When I do this type of style of Google Hangout, I'm going to run it the way I would do my podcast, in the same podcast form. This is the same way I would do it on my other platform. And like I said, I'm going to be making an announcement or doing a video. Well, I'll make the announcement for people to go over there and enjoy and learn and get some good information. So like I told you before, I'll be calling on you in the way I did this weekend to talk about various issues that I will be podcasting. And then the most difficult thing for me is deciding where I should put it, because what I did in the past, I wasn't putting as much attention and time into marketing my podcast channel as much as I was doing on YouTube. So if I put, and one of my biggest mistakes, and if folks out there who plan to podcast, don't make this mistake that I made. I put too much of my YouTube material on my podcasting channel, which means I'm going to be more wanting to promote the YouTube channel. But if I put different material on the podcast channel, now I can promote it separately because it has different material from the YouTube channel. But occasionally, like this situation, there may be stuff that I produce on there that I will put on here. So it's just making those decisions. So with that said, brother, once again, go ahead. You've got the floor, brother, before we come to a conclusion.
Yeah, I love your new format, Info Man. Yeah, I see you should do just get this app called Anchor. They do podcasts too. But anyway, I wanted to say this, that I want to encourage everyone. I know what we're talking about is a lot of heavy stuff, and it is some real stuff right there. And we just want people to be aware of what's going on. But bottom line is, when I moved to LA, I really don't regret the decision to move here, because when I came out here pursuing what it is I want to do.
Tell the truth.
And I don't regret that decision. It's plenty of resources for what I'm wanting to do. And if that is what you want to pursue, and that's to anyone in the chat, by all means, pursue what it is you want to pursue. Just be aware of what's going on. Yeah, I don't regret it. Matter of fact, when I struggled like I did, I've actually learned to embrace the struggle as part of, like, in an adventuresome sort of way. Now, that's not to say I liked being homeless. I didn't like that, and I don't recommend people purposely doing it just so they can get some kind of sense of some kind of thrill. That's not what I'm saying. But I don't regret the decision, and I'm actually glad I went through these things, because it built some character in me. It built some tenacity that because I'm like, listen, I came out here to do something, and I didn't come out here just to turn around and go back. I guess that's me. Maybe I'm a little crazy, but you know what they say, you don't have to be crazy, but it helps.
Exactly. Let me give a shout out to King Wage and Gigi, who's in the chat room as well. Thank you for being here. It's the new format. And let me just say, King Wage, brother, I've got to get in contact with you to get you on the podcast. And I've also got to get in contact with Gigi. And what I'm doing here, Aaron, you said something about Anchor. I actually have Anchor, but the program or the system that I'm using is even more powerful than Anchor, because, for example, if I decide to put this podcast right now on my speaker, I can port that over to iHeartRadio podcast. I can port it over to even Google, where you can listen to this on your Google phone. And this automatically will go over to iTunes as well, where you can listen to it on iTunes and Spotify and SoundCloud. I can port it over to even YouTube directly if I like, but it'll be in a different format. And it allows me to port it over to Facebook, Twitter, and many other types of social medias where I can port it out. So that's why. So if I was to just had podcast this and kept it in my Spreaker podcast, this would hit all those other social medias, and I can decide whether it's going to go here or go there. So what I'm using is a pretty powerful system. There's a whole nother world within the podcast. There's a whole bunch of people who go into podcasting communities like they do YouTube, and they follow you over there. So, and this also will go, when I do it on my podcast exclusively, like YouTube, it will go international as well as national as well. So it's just a matter of me picking and choosing what I want to put on both platforms or just one platform. Just depends on that. But I'm glad that we were able to have this conversation. there's a lot of shit going down the pipeline. Like I said, there's a situation going on in Charlotte, North Carolina that no one's talking about. There's a young man. Let me just give you a little insight into this because I'm going to be doing a podcast about this. There's a guy named Javon. I think his name is Frazier. Apparently, he got stopped by the police. He did tell the police that he had a gun. That he didn't point the gun at anybody. He didn't harm anyone. He didn't point the gun at the cops. He did no harm to the police. But because he had a gun in an open carry state, it was like another Orlando Castile situation where he gets shot. He didn't do anything to the cops. Then there was a white guy who went into a school in North Carolina, had a gun, shot 2 people. The police took their time with him and captured him alive. And they're saying in North Carolina, there's a disparity across the board where when white men, other groups of people have guns on them, they get taken alive. Like Dylan Roof in South Carolina, who killed those beautiful 9 folks in the beautiful church there. So there's something going on in that area. Why is it that we get shot when we don't have a gun? And even when we tell you we got a gun in an open carry state. But our white counterparts, they could shoot up people, brandish guns. You had the guy in Colorado who had shot up the movie theater of a few years ago, went in there like he was Batman. And they found him in his car full of guns and took him alive. Walter Scott in South Carolina, he gets shot in the back over a routine traffic stop because he had unpaid child support. He's got to pay his child support. I got a podcast about child support coming out too. He gets shot dead. But Dylan Roof kills 9 black folks in a South Carolina famous church. And you know what's interesting about that church too? That church, it really should be called the Nat Turner Church. They purposely don't want you to know that. They don't want that name out there. You know the history of Nat Turner and what he did. Slave revolts. As far as I'm concerned, Nat Turner is the only true preacher as far as I'm concerned. But I digress here. So Dylan Roof gets a Burger King. But yet he killed people. They take him to Burger King. So those are some of the things that's a case that's going on in Charlotte, North Carolina that I'm going to get into. The news is not talking about it because he happened to have a gun, but he did not shoot or kill anyone. He ends up dead. So I have a nice audio from a lawyer talking about this, getting into it. It should be explosive as thunder.
Tell the truth.
Well, brother, I'm a father, and sooner or later I'm going to have to be rushing out to go pick up the young one. And you can also catch me, everybody, today. It should be an explosive show. Catch me on O'Shea Duke Jackson's. I'm usually on there on the Sunday Rumble, but we're going to be doing a show later on today about some more issues. So you can catch me on there on the O'Shea Duke Jackson show. It's explosive over there. My man, Real Aaron Collins, has been on there. And Aaron, can you let everybody know what any projects you got coming up, anything that you got in the works, whether it be on your channel or in what you're doing out there in Los Angeles? I know you are a guy who works behind the scenes in the movie motion picture industry. You're inspiring to move yourself up that ladder. Go right ahead, brother.
Yeah, appreciate it. So yeah, I mean, of course, I'm always writing stuff. I got ideas. Planned. I've shot a few music videos with a friend of mine out here. So that's something I worked on coming out May 20th. Let's see what else. It's just amazing. How in this industry that you have a lot of these, these black actors and stuff. And I'm not saying all of them, but you have so many of these actors out here that making all this money, but yet a lot of them, these black celebrities, don't seem to really even care what's going on in the black community either, because a lot of them have this mindset that they've arrived and that they just reached the upper echelon. And I know how a lot of people feel about the Academy Awards. I mean, I love watching the Oscars. I love the atmosphere that goes into it and stuff. But I also understand the historical racism that goes on in the industry. I get that. But I don't. You know what? I don't even, because I realized it was an industry designed for them. I really don't make a big issue out of it anymore. I just basically try to do my thing and try to benefit my people.
Mm-hmm.
So
let me just say this: we got Poetic Celts in the chat room. We've got Gigi, as I said before. We've got my man Joe. We got brother Rob from Brooklyn. Thank you for coming through. We got Hobby Money. Now look, everybody, I'm gonna say it again. Go and support each other. Okay. Go check out each other's channels. Everybody's trying to grow. Yeah, I have some numbers, but I'm trying to grow still. YouTube is becoming very competitive because you have various live streams that go on. So it's pulling people to different places. And also, do me a favor, everybody. Go to everybody's channels that you could possibly go to that you follow. Make sure that your notifications are hit. I know for a fact that YouTube plays a little game where they will unclick your notification. I know for a fact that there's a whole bunch of other people who would be in here watching the program, but I know they're not getting my notifications. I know they are, because YouTube does this type of nonsense to people. Okay. And YouTube has another trick up their sleeves. They will, when you play on your phone with your YouTube, it'll have this thing will come up where it will say, how often do you want to get notifications from channels? Do you want to get it never? Sometimes. Watch out for that. You might hit the wrong button and think that you're saying that you want notifications to come often. Okay. When the person goes on, and you might hit something wrong. They're playing a lot of tricks and treats with us. So keep that in mind. You got to check each other, because I know for a fact that there's probably people who are not getting my notifications, because I'm hearing people say that to me when I go to their channels. Hey, man, I'm not getting your notifications. It's happening. So, Brother Joe, thank you. Brother Joe, I got to get you on. See, what's great about this format that I'm going to be using, it's going to allow me to be able to have personal connection with people through the podcasting and get them on and really talk about an issue one-to-one with them, then reproduce the interview in this style and to choose whatever platform I want to put it on and still promote it out there. So I think it's a great platform that I'm going to be using. And I'm telling you folks, when I make the announcement about the podcast and you listen to it, it's going to have that crystal radio sound to it on my podcasting channel. You're going to love it. You're going to just love it. And I'm going to talk about different subjects. Matter of fact, Aaron, I recently finished a podcast up, but I haven't packaged it yet, about child support and what men in particular need to do. And I'm going to probably port that. I'm probably going to do that on YouTube. I might pre-produce it as a pre-produced video, or may go live with it like we're doing right here. But I think it's very important that we need to be up on our rights when it comes to child support. And I must say that any man who doesn't take care of his kids, as far as I'm concerned, you're not a man. You're just
awesome.
a guy who donated some sperm to a woman.
Right.
So, with that said, brother, let me see who else is in the chat room here. We got Darren Hilton. Joe is in there. King Wage. Damn, I'm really bad with names. Some of these folks I see them, but I just can't make out their name. And I hate. We got Sister Gathers in there. I hate to tear people's names up if I can't make out their names right. We got Muhammad in there. We got Full Circle's in there. Damn it, I should have had Full Circle on the panel with us to talk about this issue. But Full Circle, brother, get in contact with me, because you're going to be, me and you are going to do a podcast together sooner than later. So we got a lot of lovely people in it. I just hate when I can't make out certain names, especially on YouTube. Everybody's got these elaborate names and stuff like that. But I thank everybody out there, and we got Franks in there. And do me a favor, everybody. Do me a favor. Come on now. Do me a favor. Okay.
Information is power.
Information is power. Go ahead and share this video in your personal social media, your Twitter, your Instagram, your Facebook. Please do. If you're a member of YouTube group, drop it in there, because I do the same thing for other people. So when I follow your channel, I put it in my social media so that you get more attention. This is how you grow a channel as well, by sharing it in the social media. Do me a favor. This is an issue of homelessness and how it's affecting Black people in Los Angeles and even across this country. So everybody, I know people know about this stuff or have some understanding or awareness of it, but it needs to be put out there more and more. It's affecting our people. It's affecting a lot of people. And America, once again, is becoming more and more expensive place to live in. And the question is, can we afford to live in America anymore? Real Aaron Collins, you got any last words, brother?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that one of the things that you mentioned, that mental illness, that's another side effect of homelessness too. A lot of the mental illness that exists, I noticed. I mean, I did an actual stream about mental illness in the Black community, and that's also something that does not need to be overlooked. I think many years ago, I think it was I believe a mental institution that was here, or even it was a hospital. What they did was they loaded. I think this is under Reagan. They took a lot of the people that had mental issues. They brought them out into the street and they just let them run freely. And as a result, to this very day, you still see remnants of that. And many of them are Black men. And it's going unchecked. So
let me just say this.
To definitely bring that up there.
Let me just say this. We definitely, Aaron, we need to talk about this one-to-one as well, or podcast it. I did a podcast. It's on my system now. I did a podcast on mental health as it relates to Black men and depression. Do you know that more Black men are dying from there's an increase. Let me say this correct. There's an increase of Black men engaging in suicide related to their depression that's brought on by, you know what, the reality of living in this society. Should I say more? You know what those realities are?
Yeah, makes
racism,
sense.
bias, stressors. And when you are a highly melanated person, meaning you have dark skin, highly melanated, melanin, and any of you folks want to get more into the science of melanin, research it for yourself, or you can check out my channel and look in some of my archives, and you will see a video I did about melanin and how melanin in our bodies and how it works, and how it takes in metaphysically, it takes in positive and negative energies. One of the reasons why Black men, and especially when you are a darker skinned Black man, have issues with hypertension is because melanin absorbs things, like I said, positive and negative energies, like a flower, photosynthesis, right? And so when you're eating a poor diet and you're stressed out, it's going to affect you more because you're absorbing energies around you. And so as Black people, we're basically trapped in these bodies, these three-dimensional bodies, and we're actually energy and dark matter. Okay. And that responds to our environment that we're in, either positively or negatively. So I'm going to be doing a podcast and a video about men's health in terms of proper nutrition, foods you should eat. I did this once before, and you can also find that in the archives of my videos. I did a video about men's health. I'm going to do another one, Real Aaron Collins, but this is very important because this is impacting our depression, our mental state, which is causing us to get involved in suicidality and suicide in general. And I work in mental health, so I see this all the time. And you're right. Ronald Reagan let a lot of people out of Napa State Hospital. And I was at Napa State just a month or two ago for a conference. Napa's still operating, still there. They got a lot of people there that are very sick, have a lot of issues. But that is something that we as Black people don't want to talk about a lot of times, is the mental health issues. But we got to talk about it because we're dying in silence when we don't talk about things that are impacting us. It's not, don't be taboo. And I know there's some taboo issues around health because of how we've been experimented on, like Tuskegee experiments and stuff like that. But these are things that we have to tell the truth about and be honest with ourselves about.
Tell the truth.
Aaron, you got any last words before I end it? I'm going to have to end the program.
You know, as always, man, I enjoy building with you, bro. Like I said, and I still feel this way. I look up to you. You are an inspiration, and I appreciate the chat. A lot of you all out there, I know, got much love for you. Appreciate you all supporting me as well, and you know, together we can do things. That's what team stands for. Together, everyone accomplishing more. And there's no I in team, so let's do this.
Okay, we got a guy in there talking about black women weren't about black empowerment. I disagree with that, brother. I disagree. Don't, you know, I know that don't block him out of the chat room, but I disagree with that statement that black women have never been about black empower. He says black women never were about. That's not true. You're trolling now. That's not true. That's not true at all. Don't say a statement like that. I don't even know how old you are. How long you've been living. I'm 49 years old, but don't make statements like that. Black women were there for us, have been there for us. Now, is every woman, every person, every man out there perfect? No, we've got people out there that hate on us. We've got people in our community that are not doing anything. We've got people. You can probably look at individual experiences that you had where maybe a black woman wasn't there for you. Okay, I'll give you that. But we can't put a broad brush and say that all black women are not for empowerment. That doesn't make any sense. We've both been in this crap together, dealing with a lot of crap. So, brother, just measure your words. Are you talking about yourself individually, or are you talking about all black women? Because you can't say all black women because you don't know all black women, and you're not living in all damn states, and you're not living in the whole damn world. So watch that type of tone. Come on now. This is a podcast. This is a program about giving information to empower us and informing you as to what's going on so that we can take action. And I think the way we take action is if you are a member of a church, a civil organization, a fraternity, a sorority, get involved. I know personally, my fraternity, we get involved in things like homelessness. We get involved with going to shelters. We get involved with giving out food, providing housing, getting people into programs that are going to provide them housing, getting people in job training. We get involved in trying to get our youth to get educate themselves. But it's not more just to get into school, but you got to matriculate yourself through school and graduate and give back to the community as best you can in your individual areas and places. That's what I'm about. Aaron is about that. Everyone, I think, in the chat room pretty much is about what is best for the communities and, you know, in this world that we live in. So, Aaron, thank you for being here, brother. I'm going to end it with that. I appreciate everybody that's been here. It's certainly been an explosive program, and I appreciate it. Okay, we got my man Lions Den, who's come on now. Lions Den, brother. I'm about to get out of here, brother. I got to go get the little one. You come on late, brother. So, damn it, everybody, Lions Den, shit, man. I wanted you on the program, man. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you real well. Apologize.
Go ahead. Lions Den, maybe we'll come back on later tonight and we'll do something again tonight. But go ahead and give some folks some love in the chat room. I'm bad with names, and I'm going to, as you finish saying their names, I'm going to crank up the concluding music for the day. Go ahead, real quick.
Okay, give me 1 second here. I like to give a shout out to Cully Girls World, Queen Know Who I Am, Miss Gigi, Old Reliable, Sway 30, Amanda Gather, Self Care Boss, Thomas Ruther, Filthy Frank, The Be Late Eppery, African Defender, Captain PY2.
Captain PY2.
Aha, King Wade's in the building. Brother the Nubian, assalamu alaikum, my brother. He's in the building. Self Care Boss is in the building. Arthur Clark is in the building.
Arthur Clark.
So that's basically all of them info.
All right, brother. This is what we'll do, Lions Den. Maybe we'll come back on later tonight and do a little late night show or something like that. You know, I know you're 2 hours ahead of me, so we'll do something. I'll put the young one to bed, and maybe we'll come on and do a little something for a quick moment, talk about a few issues. Aaron, if you're around too, brother, tonight, I'll send you a link too if you want to come back on and talk about anything that's on your mind.
All right, yeah. Salute, Lions Den, my brother. Long time no see, bro.
Good, Mr. Collins. How's it going?
Okay.
Okay,
So it's time for me to go get the little one. Everybody, thank you for supporting the channel. And I'm going to leave you with this because information
is power.
And don't you forget to do something very important for me.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel. Tell the truth. Information is power. You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
Okay, thank you. I see we got Anita B. A few people came in a little late, but I appreciate you coming through. Joe again, Cap. We got Curly's Girly's World. And make sure you support each other, go to each other's channels, and check each other out. Thank you for being here, listening to the presentation. I thank everybody, and I will do my best to support you when you're uploading your channel material as well. Thank you again. I see you, Joe, sending me some peace. Brother from Brooklyn, make sure y'all check out his program. There's a lot of good people in the chat room. I've been quite lucky. I've met a lot of different people in YouTube that are following my channel. I think it's important to broaden your audience on YouTube. You know, broaden your audience, to grow your channel, and to connect with different people. You just never know who you're talking to on YouTube, who you connect with, and what connections they have, what resources they have, and what they bring to the table. I think that's very important. So everybody, peace, love. Enjoy your YouTube experience today, this evening. I'm sure there'll be lots of hot live streams going on to this evening. I may come back on later on tonight, do something with Lions Den and some other brothers tonight. Who knows? Brother Joe, I'm going to have to figure out, I'm going to have to connect with you, get your email or something so that we can have a one-to-one as well, brother. Because I know you're a very dynamic brother as well, Brother Joe. And many of you out there, there's so many people I got to connect with, and I do plan to. It just takes a lot of time. It takes time to connect with people, get the schedules right, and all that good stuff. So thank you, everybody. Colleague Girls World, I got to get you on one-to-one too, sister. I asked you this before. You were shy about it. You came on my channel once before, which is great, but I got to get a one-to-one with you. There's so many wonderful people, once again, on YouTube. Sometimes we get caught up in just looking at the negative things on YouTube, but there are positive things going on YouTube. You know, I know this subject wasn't as sexy and as exciting as other subject matters are because it's not talking about the best of us. It's talking about something else, again, that's happening to us. But you have to look at the world for what it really is and not what you want it to be. With that said, thank you, everybody. Another clap to you again. Thank you, and have a good day. And remember, information is power.